He collapsed alone in his bathroom, just minutes after what should have been a private moment of relief. At first, there was no obvious explanation, but what followed raised an unexpected and often ignored question. What role did his prostate play? I know, this may sound uncomfortable or even taboo, but it's time we finally talk about something most men keep silent about for life: masturbation. And more importantly, how it might be quietly affecting your prostate health as you age. I'm Dr. James Ellison, a men's health specialist with over 60 years of experience helping older men navigate the most personal and misunderstood parts of aging. Over the decades, I've worked with thousands of men. Many of them never suspected that something they once considered a bad habit might actually be helping them, reducing painful nights, avoiding urgent trips to the bathroom, and even protecting against prostate disease. What you're about to learn may change the way you see your own health and your own habits for good. Because here's the paradox. The very act you were told to feel shame about may hold 6 powerful science-backed benefits for your prostate, hormones, and quality of life. And the final benefit, what it does for your confidence and peace of mind, might change everything. Stay with me. The truth ahead may surprise you. Before we continue, if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to tap that button and turn on the bell so you never miss honest, science-based advice designed for men like you. And if this message is speaking to you so far, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 and let me know how I can make this content more helpful for your journey. Now, let's explore exactly what happens to your prostate when you masturbate. Because the science behind it isn't just fascinating, it could be the key to protecting your health, comfort, and confidence as you age. 1. Improved blood circulation, your prostate's lifeline. I've sat across from men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, men who once felt strong, steady, and in control, now quietly struggling with the slow discomforts they never expected. Waking up multiple times a night to urinate, a dull ache in the lower pelvis, or that frustrating sense that something inside just isn't right. And often they look at me hoping for a simple answer. What many of them never realize is that deep beneath the surface, their prostate has been quietly asking for help. Not through loud symptoms at first, but through restricted blood flow, through slow stagnation, through tension they can't quite explain. That's where masturbation comes in, not as an indulgence, but as a powerful natural act of self-care. When a man masturbates, he activates deep pelvic muscles, creates rhythmic contractions, and triggers a rush of fresh oxygen-rich blood into the prostate. It's like opening the windows and letting the breeze in. After months of stillness, the tissues inside that small but vital gland are nourished, cleaned, and revitalized. And with regular mindful stimulation, the circulation doesn't just improve temporarily. It helps the prostate repair itself over time. The cells breathe better. Waste is cleared more efficiently. Inflammation struggles to take hold. This isn't theory. This is what I've witnessed in patient after patient. The men who begin to reconnect with their bodies through consistent healthy masturbation often experience fewer urinary issues, reduced pelvic pressure, and a renewed sense of energy in that part of their lives they thought was behind them. So, if you've been ignoring this part of yourself, believing it doesn't matter anymore, understand this. Your prostate is still alive, still working, and still depending on you to keep it healthy. And this simple act is one of the most effective ways to give it what it needs. But if circulation is just the beginning, then what comes next may be even more surprising, because the fluid your prostate produces every day may silently be turning against you. Let me explain. If you're still watching and this message is resonating with you, type the number 1 in the comments to let me know you're still here. Now, let's continue and uncover the next surprising way this simple habit protects your prostate. 2. Reduced inflammation. Flushing out what silently hurts you. In my decades of caring for older men, I've learned that some of the most dangerous threats to the prostate aren't loud or obvious. They don't announce themselves with sharp pain or sudden emergencies. They creep in slowly, quietly, until one day you wake up realizing that comfort has been replaced by pressure, urgency, or that subtle burning sensation you can't ignore. What many of my patients don't realize is that behind these symptoms often lies one overlooked culprit: chronic inflammation caused by stagnant prostatic fluid. Your prostate is an active gland. Even if you're not sexually active, it continues to produce seminal fluid every single day. And if that fluid isn't released, it sits. It thickens. It becomes irritative. Left untouched for weeks or months, it begins to rot the way standing water does in a closed pipe. That's when inflammation takes hold silently but destructively. And inflammation, especially in a gland as sensitive as the prostate, can be the beginning of long-term problems like swelling, discomfort, and even urinary obstruction. But there's a remarkably natural and powerful solution. Regular ejaculation through masturbation helps flush out that fluid before it turns toxic. It's not just a moment of release. It's a protective rinse, a clearing of the system, a reset. I've seen men reduce their symptoms dramatically, not with expensive medication or invasive procedures, but simply by restoring the body's natural rhythm. By honoring a part of themselves they were once told to suppress, they gave their prostate exactly what it was asking for: relief, movement, and flow. And let me be honest with you, this is one of the most effective ways to reduce internal stress on your prostate before it ever becomes a medical condition. You're not just managing symptoms, you're addressing the cause. But the impact doesn't stop there, because while you're clearing out inflammation physically, something even more transformative starts to happen behind the scenes, deep in your hormones, emotions, and identity. And that shift may be the key to feeling like yourself again. Let's go deeper. 3. Hormonal balance and emotional healing. The hidden reset button. Over the years, I've spoken with so many older men who quietly admit they no longer feel like themselves. They're not in pain, they're not depressed, but something feels off. Their motivation is lower, their sleep is lighter. They snap more easily or feel emotionally distant from their partners, even from themselves. And often they chalk it up to just aging. But that's not the whole story. What's really happening is a gradual shift in your internal chemistry. As testosterone slowly declines and cortisol, the stress hormone, creeps higher, your body enters a kind of imbalance that affects everything. Your mood, your sleep, your focus, even your immune response. And yes, it impacts your prostate too. Hormonal changes influence how the prostate behaves, how inflamed it becomes, and how well it recovers from daily stress. This is where regular masturbation becomes more than just physical. It becomes a form of biological reset. With every healthy release, your body activates a cascade of beneficial chemicals. Dopamine lifts your mood. Oxytocin calms your nervous system. Endorphins reduce pain and anxiety. And importantly, a gentle rise in testosterone reminds your body that you're still alive, still masculine, still connected. These hormones don't just help you feel better. They create conditions that support better prostate health. Lower cortisol means less inflammation. Better sleep supports tissue repair. Balanced testosterone helps regulate glandular function and slows down degenerative changes. And let me say this clearly. Masturbation, when practiced mindfully and regularly, is not a weakness. It's a way to harmonize your internal systems to feel steady again, emotionally whole, and in rhythm with your aging body. Many of my patients have told me they didn't realize how much stress they were holding until they let it go privately, gently, and without shame. But what happens when that natural rhythm is ignored for too long? What if the fluids your prostate creates every day are left to stagnate for weeks, even months? That's when another problem begins to form, one that builds slowly, silently, and deep inside your gland. Let's talk about it. If you're still watching and finding this information meaningful, go ahead and type the number 1 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. Now, let's keep going and uncover the 4th powerful way masturbation supports your prostate health. 4. Preventing prostate congestion. Clearing the pressure you can't see. One of the most overlooked issues I see in older men is something they often don't have the words to describe. They don't call it pain. They don't even think it's serious. It starts with a vague heaviness in the groin, a sense of fullness that won't go away, or an odd discomfort when sitting for long periods. Many write it off as part of aging. But as a urologist, I've come to recognize it for what it really is: prostate congestion. Your prostate doesn't stop working when your sex life slows down. It continues producing fluid every single day, and if that fluid isn't released, it stays trapped. It thickens, stagnates, and begins to build internal pressure. Imagine a small balloon slowly filling with water but never being emptied. It stretches, it strains, and it suffers. That's what's happening inside your body when you go long periods without ejaculation. This is where regular masturbation makes a powerful difference. It isn't just about release, it's about relief. It's a natural mechanism for draining your prostate, reducing that buildup, and allowing the gland to return to a more relaxed, balanced state. I've had patients tell me that just weeks after reintroducing healthy self-pleasure into their routine, the tension eased, the urgency diminished, and their entire pelvic region felt lighter. This isn't a coincidence. It's the body functioning as it was designed to. When you respect that rhythm, your prostate thanks you, often in ways you can feel. Urination becomes smoother, discomfort fades, sleep improves, and most importantly, the risk of chronic congestion and future complications drops dramatically. But what happens if this pressure continues to build? What if the gland never gets the chance to drain and recover? Over time, this seemingly small issue can lead to a much larger, more disruptive condition, one that affects millions of men as they age, yet often goes unspoken until it's too late. Let's talk about that next. 5. Lowering the risk of prostate enlargement, a gentle defense against BPH. By the time most men reach their late 60s or 70s, they've grown used to certain annoyances. Waking up multiple times during the night to urinate, a stream that feels weaker than it used to be, or that lingering sensation of never fully emptying the bladder. These symptoms often feel like a natural part of aging, but behind them lies a condition many men don't talk about until it becomes disruptive: BPH, or benign prostatic hyperplasia, otherwise known as prostate enlargement. It's a slow, silent process. The prostate doesn't swell overnight. It grows gradually, stretched from the inside by stagnant fluid and driven by hormonal imbalances that compound over time. What many men don't realize is that this process isn't just genetic. It's also preventable. And one of the most effective natural defenses is something deeply personal, simple, and often misunderstood: masturbation. When you masturbate and ejaculate regularly, you're doing more than releasing fluid. You're relieving the internal pressure that contributes to the stretching of the prostate. You're maintaining proper gland function. You're signaling your body to regulate hormones that would otherwise promote unwanted growth. I've seen men who, by simply adopting a routine of healthy, shame-free self-pleasure, have avoided medications, postponed surgery, and maintained far better urinary health than their peers. This isn't about indulgence. It's about agency, about choosing to support your body's natural systems before problems take root. The prostate was designed to release fluid, not store it indefinitely. When that system works the way nature intended, your gland remains more stable, less inflamed, and far less likely to overgrow. And yet, for all the physical benefits we've discussed, there's still one more that may be the most overlooked and the most powerful of all. It's not about the body, it's about the man. Because when this habit is practiced consistently, It doesn't just change your health, it can change how you see yourself. Let's explore what that really means. 6. Reclaiming confidence and connection. The emotional power of self-care. There's something few people prepare you for as you grow older. Not the gray hair, not the slower mornings, but the quiet distance you begin to feel from your own body. I've had countless men sit across from me, strong men, proud men, who tell me they don't feel broken, just disconnected. It's not just about intimacy, it's about identity. That quiet question in the back of the mind, am I still the man I used to be? And this is where masturbation, often dismissed as trivial or embarrassing, becomes something far more meaningful. When you choose to engage in this act regularly and without shame, you're doing more than releasing tension. You're reestablishing a relationship with yourself. You're reminding your body that you're still present, still capable, still deserving of care, touch, and pleasure. From a medical perspective, this emotional connection carries very real physical benefits. A man who feels in tune with his body is more likely to take action when something feels off. He's more likely to maintain hormonal balance, manage stress effectively, and protect his prostate through regular, healthy release. I've seen men who once felt withdrawn begin to carry themselves differently, walking taller, sleeping better, reconnecting with their partners and their purpose. Not through medication, but through self-respect. And for the prostate, this emotional shift matters. Reduced stress hormones mean less inflammation. Greater body awareness leads to earlier detection of issues. Confidence and self-connection are not luxuries. They are part of the healing process. So if you've ever felt like this part of your life no longer matters, I urge you to think again. This small private act has ripple effects that reach every corner of your health and your sense of self. But as powerful as all this sounds, there's one final message I need to share with you. It's not a benefit, but a truth, and it may be the most important part of all. Let's bring it all together. Conclusion. If you've made it this far, then I want to thank you, not just for listening, but for having the courage to explore a part of your health that so many men were taught to avoid. This conversation was never just about biology or hormones. It was about truth and about reclaiming something that's been quietly taken from too many men for too long. Your right to care for your body without shame. We've talked about what really happens when you masturbate, and the results, especially for your prostate, are nothing short of astounding. We started with circulation, how self-stimulation brings fresh oxygen-rich blood into the gland, nourishing tissue and reducing long-term damage. We explored how regular ejaculation flushes out stagnant fluid, lowering inflammation and protecting the gland from internal irritation. We looked at hormones, how a simple act can reset your chemistry, reduce cortisol, and reawaken testosterone that supports not just your mood, but your prostate's ability to function properly. We discussed prostate congestion, how the buildup of fluid can lead to dull pain, tension, and long-term discomfort, and how masturbation clears that pressure before it becomes a problem. Then we talked about enlargement and how regular release helps lower the risk of BPH by giving your gland the chance to recover rather than stretch and swell. And finally, perhaps most importantly, we acknowledge the emotional power behind this habit, the restoration of confidence, dignity, and connection to yourself. These aren't theories. These are facts I've seen proven in clinic after clinic in the lives of men just like you. Some were hesitant at first, others carried decades of guilt or silence. But the men who opened the door to this part of themselves, who treated their body with kindness instead of shame, often found a version of health they thought had already passed them by. If you've ever wondered whether this habit still matters, I'm here to tell you it does. Not just for your pleasure, but for your prostate. Not just for your health, but for your peace of mind. You are still a man. You are still worthy of comfort, strength, and connection. And sometimes the most powerful medicine doesn't come from a bottle. It comes from listening to your body and giving it exactly what it needs. You don't need permission. You don't need to apologize. You only need to remember caring for yourself in every way is not selfish. It's survival. And that simple act, it could make all the difference.